Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. So my mom and my aunt, they're twins, and they help me around the studio sometimes. One of the projects that they got in their mind that they were gonna help me with is my scraps. Well, I've got more scraps than anybody should have, and I'm sure that you guys do too. So what my mom and my aunt did, my mom went to the Dollar Tree and found these little pouches. They come 3 in a package, got a little snap closure, and she got one for each color. And then we took the label off of the paper pack and applied it to the pouch and put all the scraps so that they would be neatly organized, readily available, labeled clearly, and maybe I could use them. Well, it made me really see how much scraps I have. And it got me thinking, what should I do? And how can I make the best use of them? Then I realized that I had about 35 thank you cards to make. So this design was born. I love this design because it's fast and easy, and it'll cut down all those piles of scraps that you have. Today we're going to use the Thank You Thinlits dies from the Stampin Up 2018-19 annual catalog. It's one scripty thank you word, and I just love this die. This card would be equally as fun using the Happy Birthday Thinlits die. This would make a great birthday card too. The rest of the Stampin' Up supplies that you need to make this card, I use the Coffee Cups Framelits dies, and that's for this bitty little tag, and the Cookie Cutter Builder Punch for that little heart. I've got my medium weight Night of Navy baker's twine. I happen to have a ton of Real Red and Night of Navy scraps. So I dug through and found some colors that coordinate nicely, that I had lots of stamps or lots of scraps. So pull out all your cardstock scraps. This could be fun with designer series papers too, but it won't provide as much contrast because the patterns behind the words won't give as sharp a contrast. It could be a lot of fun for backgrounds where you have a stamped and matted focal image. So just keep in mind this idea is great for busting all kinds of scrap stashes. I have a Whisper White card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I'm using the regular Whisper White cardstock for this one. I have scratch paper, just something that I cut up. I like to use the class schedules, extras that I printed, whatever. It's just a piece of copy paper, and this is 4 by 5 1/4 copy paper. I have a scrap of Whisper White that is big enough to cut our thank you greeting. A scrap of Whisper White for our little tag. And let's see here, what else do we need? There's a couple of products that Stampin' Up is going to be retiring in the next annual catalog because they are Sizzix brand products, and Stampin' Up is no longer going to have a business relationship with Sizzix. So I'm using my die brush. I love this tool. It's going to be available while supplies last. And I'm also using my Sizzix multi-purpose adhesive sheets here. These are phenomenal. You really want to grab some of these before they're gone. And let me show you here. So I'm going to peel, right where it says peel here, there's a little edge. And I'm going to go ahead and put that scrap of Whisper White. You know, let me go this way so that I can use that little peel here edge later. Put that on the edge. Close this dude back up, grab my paper snips, and I'm gonna cut out, this sheet is so long, I'm gonna cut out right along the edge of my Whisper White. What this does is make my Whisper White a sticker, and I run it through the die machine. I'll have a sticky thank you. So this detailed die cut will just be peel and stick. You'll see in just a minute when we die cut. So Big Shot is here. I'm going to drop my scrap for my thank you onto the cutting pad. I just want to make sure that this is going to fit edge to edge. We don't want to leave anything out. And then my little Whisper White scrap for my tag. We can do all of our die cutting for this card at one time. Pop the top on and crank this through. Get that adorable little tag. I just love that die. I use that all the time. It's another reason why I really liked this thank you card, because I do that little tag embellishment a lot, and it really expresses my creative style. So there are thank you cards that are going out to my customers. I always send a thank you card when you order, MarisaAlvarez.StampinUp.net. If you use the host code, you might find a little special thank you gift tucked into your thank you card. All right. So I just ran through and got all those little bits out of my thank you. So all the negative spots are gone, and then I can just take the positive space right out of the die. See? I love the die brush. All those little bits and pieces are stuck on the mat, so it contains the mess. Now what I'll just do is pick this up, tap it off in the trash, and all those little things aren't all over my studio floor. That's one of the reasons why I really love the die brush. I'll miss it, but I'll continue using it in my personal and my craft fair crafting. And it'll be for as long as I can keep the mats from wearing out. That's the other thing too. If you love the tool, grab another one so you can get another set of mats for it. All right, so here's our card base, our thank you, our little tag. Next, we're gonna need some snail adhesive. You can use a sheet of the multi-purpose adhesive sheets for this if you like, but it is quite a large piece, and snail will do. So we got that piece of copy paper, that scrap paper, and you're gonna run snail around the outer perimeter as close to the edge as you can get. And don't forget to get those corners. Those pieces are critical in keeping the design together. And then what I'll do next is just about every inch or so, I'll run a line of snail, and then I'll do the same the other way. So I've kind of built a grid with a nice border around the edge. All right, then I'm gonna take my scraps here. I think some of these red ones are a little bit wide. Let's see. Here's my little pouch. I've got lots of pieces here, just so many. This is gonna be a great way to use them all up. All these little long strips. You know those 1/2 inch strips that you get after you cut card fronts that are 4 by 5 1/4? All those little half strips, those are gonna be awesome for this technique. The first thing I do is I lay a kind of wider strip from corner to corner, and that's going to be your anchor. Then from there you'll want to work in alternating colors, and this gives you also a handle. Keep your fingers out of the adhesive. So I kind of work with my hands on this previous strip to keep my hands out of the adhesive. Let's see here. Oh, that one's not quite long enough. This one's kind of wide. Let's see how that looks. I love the variation that you get as you alternate different widths of cardstock scraps. Now we're back to the red. So here's where we'll grab little tiny short pieces to fill in over our corners. And now we're gonna work in reverse. So we need Night of Navy. I'm gonna go back to my little pocket here and see if I can find something that's a little bit skinnier than what I've got going on. Maybe that one. That one will have to go towards the end where I need a shorter strip because it's been kind of beaten up. But it is still useful, and that's the great part about this technique. Because we hold on to those things and we say, oh, this will be useful. I'll hold on to this. And then they build up, and then they outnumber us. All right, so then I've got some lemon lime twist here. Need a little bit longer strip. Let's see. Got some real short ones in here. There's another really skinny one. See this 11-inch? Those are the ones that get all beat up in your scrap bag anyways. So why not turn them into something really fun? All right, now we need Bermuda Bay because we're working our pattern backwards here. And then real red. And then we're back to Night of Navy. I want something that's wide enough to cover that entire corner now at this point. And we're back to that ugly folded up piece, and we're gonna get some new life out of it and good use. All right, so there is our pattern. Now you're gonna flip it over, and at this point you can go to your paper trimmer, or you can just take your paper snips and follow the line of the cardstock. So whatever you're comfortable with. A big pair of shears here where you could just kind of lop off the edges, and maybe a couple of snips would be fantastic. So I don't have a problem with scissors. They still get a pretty smooth edge. If you need to go to your paper trimmer, that's fine too. You can just use that flat edge each time and cut off the excess. So just line that up with your trimmer and swipe it all off at once. See? All right, let me finish this dude up, and I'll save any of these pieces that are long enough to use on the next card. And the little scraps that come off, especially this really bitty bits of real red, those can be used with a punch and then retired to the trash, because we have definitely gotten our use and our money's worth out of all those scraps that we held on to, right? All right, so hold on to the little hearts, sweep these guys away. Okay, so I'm back with all the edges cut off of my scrap piece. We're going to use our snail again and adhere this to the card base. We're just going to center it so that we've got an even border all the way around. Our thank you is peel and stick. So I'm going to grab the paper piercer end of my take your pick tool and just use that to lift. Peel away. You're not going to believe how awesome and how easy this adhesive is, especially for these little die cuts with all the detail. You really want to secure them down. So there's our thank you. Now this one, I'm going to run the words along the lines that were created with our little scraps. There it is. And just burnish it down. I need a little multi-purpose liquid glue here on the back of my heart. I'll adhere that to the tag. This right here is the cutest little embellishment for any card. I love the coffee cafe tag combined with the cookie cutter builds our punch heart. Need about maybe 8 inches of the medium weight baker's twine. You want to start with a nice fresh cut on the end. This baker's twine has kind of a twisted texture that makes it a little wide. But that's what I love about it, is that twisted texture. All right, so I've thread through. What I'm going to do is loop up. Notice how I didn't tie it or anything. I just loop over the top from the back and then loop through. That'll give you a nice little bow. Hold the center and pull the tails to give it some finesse. That doesn't have a lot of bulk. If you were to tie it through the tag first, you'd have a knot of twine underneath your knot of twine, which would give you kind of a double thickness. Not fun going through the mail machines, so trim off the excess. And when you leave it on the roll to tie, there's no excess to trim off of one side, so you save yourself a little bit. It's a really good tip when you're mass producing. And then we'll just add that little tag wherever you like. Let's see, I did one kind of mirror image here, so maybe I want one this way on this one. I'm gonna grab a little mini glue dot and adhere my tag. Just a fun little design to play around with. You can make a bunch of cards really fast. If you did this on a larger scale and then cut the pieces apart, you might be able to do kind of like a one sheet wonder where you just cut it all up after you're done. You have to be careful though that you have enough adhesive underneath that your pieces don't get loose and fall away. That's why the grid of adhesive. And so there are our little scrap cardstock thank you cards. All right, you guys, if you've got any questions about Stampin' Up, what's retiring, out of the 2018-2019 catalog, if there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, you can email me, marisa@kitchentablestamper.com. And if you'd like to pick up any of these Sizzix products or anything else while supplies last, you can shop at marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching.